This is A New Angle, conversations about how we're doing and where we're going. I'm your host, Justin Angle. This show is supported by the Headwaters Foundation, First Security Bank, and the University of Montana College of Business. Hey folks, welcome back, and thanks for tuning in. Today, I am speaking with Marc Moss, creator of Tell Us Something, a live storytelling program producing events across Montana. Tell Us Something is now in its 15th year and expanding into new forms of storytelling. Marc, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Justin.
So you're an OG guest. We were talking about, 2018, 2019?
Yeah, when you first started the show, I think we were maybe one of the first episodes in the studio.
Yes.
I don't know if it was this. I don't think it was this space.
It was our previous studio next door, Studio 49, a gift from the Hansons. Yeah, it's good to have you back.
Thanks for having me back.
And congrats on 15 years. We'll get into all those things. But before we do, tell us, where did you grow up and what did your parents do?
I grew up in Akron, Ohio, well, just outside of Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
Cuyahoga Falls.
Were you classmates with LeBron James?
I went to the same high school as LeBron James for 2 years.
Yeah.
Way before he was there. St. Vincent St. Mary High School.
Yeah.
And I was trying to please my mom, right? She's Catholic, Italian Catholic, and, you know, I should have a nice Catholic education. I was also paying for it out of my own pocket.
Okay, wow.
And so I thought, I could save this money and use it towards my college education.
Sure.
So I switched to public school in my junior year.
Okay.
But I grew up there, drove past Jeffrey Dahmer's house a lot.
Oh, wow.
Because it was like my spot to like drive around in.
Yeah.
Similar to Patty Canyon for people who live in Missoula. It's highly wooded and just relaxing to drive around in. And then all of a sudden he's on the news. I'm like, what?
Oh.
So my dad was a cop.
Okay.
He wasn't involved in that case. And previous to that, he made tires. He worked at B.F. Goodrich before Vietnam. And then after that, he worked at Firestone.
Okay.
And his and my mom's story is how Tell Us Something sort of started, really, because I believed I didn't have a story to share. And I was trying to push myself to do stuff that I was scared to do, which public speaking is on that list.
Yeah.
Still terrified every time I get on the stage, actually. And I signed up to do a storytelling event. And I said, I'll tell the story that I know the best, but in the first person as if I'm my dad, because story is how my parents met.
So just situate us in your upbringing. At what point did you make this choice to sign up for a storytelling event and tell that story?
At what point? I was here in Missoula, and there was another gentleman running an event called the Missoula Moth.
Okay.
That he didn't get permission from Moth Radio Hour to use the name.
Yeah, that seems like an error.
No, it was intentional. He was trying to ride on their coattails.
Well, I mean, an error not to get the permission, I guess.
Yeah, he was just trying to stay under the radar.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. And I did the event, and the short version of the story is Dad's super shy. He wants to ask her out. He thinks he'll look up her name in the phone book. The important thing to know is her name is Becky. She's the cute girl at the front desk at the library, and he's the one who reshelves the books. And so he asks her for her name, and she tells him it's Cleo. He leaves and then remembers he needs to get her last name, and she tells him that it's Patra. So he goes to look Cleopatra up in the phone book.
Oh, geez.
It's not going to happen. So I told that story, and it was like, oh my gosh, everyone is listening to me. And I really fell in love with the power of personal storytelling. And then I did it 2 more times, telling my own story after that.
Yeah.
And it's just been phenomenal.
So what gave you the courage? You acknowledged a few moments ago that public speaking is not a comfort zone for you. What gave you that courage to sign up for that early event?
Whiskey.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but that was the truth.
Even within the courage of whiskey, there has to be an impetus to like, oh, this is something I need or should do.
Pushing my growth edge?
Okay.
I've always tried to be a learner and be curious and do things that I don't understand. I mean, Tell Us Something is that.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm not a business person. I'm learning as I go, even 15 years into it. And, the last time I was here, we were an LLC that was fiscally sponsored by the Missoula Community Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2022, we got our 501c3 nonprofit status.
Yes.
And I've never built a board. I've never built a founding board before. And so that's been super challenging. And I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning a lot and making mistakes. And so
here we are.
I'm still curious. I'm still learning. And that was, I guess, the question was, what caused me to do that? And it's pushing my growth edge and being curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's pull on some of those threads as we go here. Let's start with the origin story. You mentioned there was this Missoula Moth sort of, I don't know if rip-off's quite the right word, but they're trying to do what the Moth Radio Hour is doing, which is a great program on public radio. You participate. At what point do you think, okay, I'm gonna make this something of my own and launch it as a thing in Missoula?
It was an accident.
Okay.
The person who was organizing it, his name is Patrick Dugans. He moved to Bozeman, and the Missoula Art Museum at the time was doing a thing called Artini,
Okay.
which is have some sort of entertainment on a Thursday night once a month, and also have people come drink cocktails and look at art.
Sure.
And they invited him to do the Missoula Moth, and he said, I don't really live in your town anymore. I can't help you, but Marc Moss seems to really like this. So they called me, and I was like, I don't want to do a one-off, and I also don't want to build up something and have to change the name down the road.
Right.
So I knew that Missoula Moth was going away, and I wanted also the name to be very intentional. And Tell Us Something is a contract.
Mm-hmm. Certainly
between the listener and the storyteller.
Yeah.
It's a promise that me as a listener, I will be actively listening to you share your truth. Without interrupting, without heckling, without trying to think of something cute to say or funny. I'm not waiting to talk. I'm here to learn about my community. That's what the name is for.
Yeah.
And most people don't think anything about it. They just think, oh yeah, Tell Us Something. It's this cool thing I do, once every quarter. But that's, I really thought about it.
I mean, that's a beautiful name. As somebody who sort of studies branding and advises on brand strategy and so forth, like, I don't want to distill it down to a brand, but at the end, like, a brand is a promise. And so you have something that rolls off the tongue that is familiar, is recognizable, that has sort of immediate value in that sense. And it's easy, yet it also contains within it a sacred promise, as you framed it. And that's just the epitome of branding well done. So you said you're sort of grokking your way through this development of a business, but you nailed it with a name, that's for sure.
Yeah. And
the product delivers on the name as well, which we'll get to.
I want to also mention that when I came up with the name, it was before AI.
Yeah.
I was just brainstorming, writing stuff down on a legal pad of potential names. I don't even remember what some of the other potential names were, and stumbled on that. And I was working at the time, not working with, but like collaborating with Matt LaPalme, who was the marketing director at the bookstore at the University of Montana.
Okay.
And bouncing ideas off of him, and he was super helpful in that whole space. And
yeah.
Really enthusiastic about the project and forgiving when I made mistakes. And, the university bookstore was the first sponsor.
So was it the library that asked you to do this thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the art museum.
Okay.
Missoula Art Museum.
So we'll reset there. So the art museum asked you to do this thing. You think, I don't want to do a one-off. I want to make it bigger. Tell us about the actual conception, the structure, what sorts of stories, how long, what exactly is it for a listener who hasn't been to one of your events?
Yeah. So, my thought was it would be a 2-hour event.
Okay.
And I thought, how many people can I want as many people to participate as possible. How many people can we fit into 2 hours? 12 people at 10 minutes each. I didn't think about getting in and on and off the stage.
Yeah, transitions are tough.
Or what I had to say, like I have very specific things that I am required to say. And I want to make sure that, I'll talk about that in a second. So 12 became 10, now it's 8. 8 storytellers have 10 minutes to share a true personal story from memory on some very broad theme.
Yeah.
And there's no calls to action allowed. So it can't be like, here's my story, and that's why you should listen to a New Angle podcast. It's the best one on,
Right.
you know, like,
Or buy my self-help book or
or
whatever
like
it is.
vote for this
Right.
candidate, or believe this religious belief or this philosophical belief. Like, no, it's just me telling a personal story
Mm-hmm.
without any calls to action, without trying to convince anybody of anything. That was always a rule that I had for the storytellers. And I had 2 individuals break that rule knowingly. One of them was like, hey, and if you want to know the rest, you can read it in my book.
Oh,
and I was
gosh.
like, no. And I cut that, you know, from the edit when I
Yep.
produced the show, because it's also a podcast. Most people don't know that. Even after 15 years, they're like, oh, I missed the last one. I'm like, oh, yeah, the podcast should be out in a couple weeks. And they're like, what, you have a podcast? And yeah, we do. You know, you can listen to 15 years worth of stories. Almost every single story that's been told on the stage
Yeah.
is up there, in some form. I try not to edit out too much, but we also, it's an archive of Missoula.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have John Engen, former mayor of Missoula, who
Yeah.
has since died. Jeff Pepos, super creative individual, also died.
Yeah.
Jack Rowan, really good volunteer in our town. His story's up there. You know, I could go on. Christy Hager right now, that's the person that I'm really passionate about because I was her executor.
Wow.
And she told 2 stories at Tell Us Something. One was a very tender story about having to reframe how she was thinking about a specific human on a bus in New York City. She was trying to make small talk about his broken leg. Skiing accident? No, I just got back from Vietnam.
Oh, geez. Took a turn.
And she had to like totally do a whole bunch of mental calculus and be like, wait a minute, I'm such a pacifist. Like, I don't like soldiers. And now I'm talking to one.
And I think that, Mark, we should press on that because I think, you know, a listener might be thinking, I don't really have a story. And then you said it earlier on in the conversation. Like, hey, everybody's got a story.
Oh, yeah.
And so that little kernel that you shared there about the interaction with the person with the broken leg on a subway, like, it's a chance interaction. It's minor. It doesn't really constitute a story necessarily, but from that, you can build a really rich narrative.
Absolutely. You know, and everybody has something like an interaction at the Orange Street Food Farm.
Yeah.
That they've had with the cashier, or yeah. And in fact, we had a storyteller, Ibrahim Minin, told a story. He is Venezuelan.
Okay.
About being in the food farm and trying to decide what item to get in the cleaning aisle. And an individual came up behind him and said, you should buy this scrubby and scrub your skin off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
dark.
totally. And meet his idea was like, I need to meet this hate with love. And how am I going to deal with this racism that I'm experiencing in real time while I'm here with my friend and her children, you know?
Yeah.
And it was wild to listen to him share it with compassion and like, oh my gosh, you know? And so people think, oh, storytelling, but it goes beyond entertainment. It really does.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about the way Tell Us Something has been received is people who haven't been don't know that we don't announce the storytellers ahead of time. I work with the storytellers one-on-one to do story coaching. We have a group workshop. And I don't want people to come to an event because of a specific individual being on the stage.
Right.
Probably one of the most famous people we've had at Tell Us Something is Lily Gladstone. Graduated the University of Montana. Famous actor.
Right. Oscar nominated actor.
Totally. Amazing. You know, and I met her when she worked at the Roxy. And I could exploit that. I might choose not to. when she was telling her story, she was on her way. You know, she had just started filming that movie with Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
And I don't announce the storytellers ahead of time because I don't want people to say, "Oh, I'm coming to see Lily," or whatever. No, I want people to come and see their community.
Yeah. And one thing within that, Mark, some of the storytellers choose to let their friends know
Sure.
that they're speaking. And I've had the occasion to witness friends and people I know, whether or not I knew they would be speaking or they just happened to be speaking and it was a surprise. The point is that I've been surprised by people I thought I knew in a way that, like, oh my gosh, like I didn't think you had that in you. And I feel a little bit, I don't like framing it that way. Like it's a beautiful and wonderful surprise. I want it to come across that way. But just to see somebody up there, the courage it takes. I'd love to talk more about your intake process because it is somewhat interesting. You have a phone number and
Yeah.
people call and pitch their story, and the stories are sort of organized along a theme, and we'll get to the theme in a minute. But how do you make your choices about who to select when you hear the pitch to make the decision, okay, I think this is enough that we can get it to a place where it rises to the occasion and lives up to that promise of the name, Tell Us Something?
Mm-hmm. We have a selection committee that rotates. You know, I obviously sometimes can put my thumb on the scale.
Sure.
And sometimes the selection committee is me and 2 other people, but I would like it to be 6 or 7 people.
Yeah.
And I've pitched a story before and not been selected. So it is democratic.
Mm-hmm.
And the number goes straight to voicemail. It's a Google Voice number. And I take that and drop it into a Dropbox account, and then everybody has access to it. It's 3 minutes. So the idea is give me the beginning, middle, and end of your story. If people can follow those directions, and if they remember not to give me their contact information, because I explicitly ask them not to.
Okay.
All I need is their phone number.
Yeah.
Because I call every single person who auditions back right away. And say, hey, I got your pitch. The pitch deadline is May 21st for the next show, for example. And after the pitch deadline, I'll call you back and let you know if you've been selected. If you have been selected, here is the process.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your email address right now, just in case you are selected, so I don't have to chase it later. And then I call everybody back and say, hey, you didn't make it this time. And that gives them the opportunity to say, why not? I've only had a couple people say that. I've had people say, oh, thank God. Or,
Right.
Or like, oh, okay, well, I'll try again. But I think, hiding behind a keyboard to give what could be perceived as bad news is cowardly. So give people an opportunity and give them the human connection to say, we had 35 people pitch and we have to make 8 selections. Yeah. You weren't part of that selection. So can they follow instructions is part of it. I encourage people not to write things out. So does it sound read? Have we heard the story before or some version of it?
Yeah.
Are they coming from a huge place of privilege? Are there other marginalized voices that would be better on the stage? Right, because I want to raise people up whenever I can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you already have a platform? That individual might be lower on the rung of selection possibilities. Do you have a story at all? One person pitched recently, hey, the next theme is power of place, and said, I want to tell a story about how I came to Missoula. I'm like, well, you should tell me that. I didn't say that to him, but that was his pitch. There was no story arc. There was no beginning, middle, and end. Mm-hmm. There were a handful of unrelated anecdotes. Yeah, I could probably help you work through that, but I'm guessing that there are going to be other people pitching that have something a little more complete.
Right. Along those lines, though, you do give, and you mentioned it a moment ago, you do give your participants extensive training and coaching.
Yeah.
How have you built that curriculum, and talk about how much work actually goes on, both for you and your team and the storyteller leading up to an event?
The team is a staff of one. I'm the only staff member, and a lot of it is intuitive.
Yeah.
I want to be careful not to prescribe how someone tells their story. I want them to feel like they have agency and ownership of it. So it's a lot of me asking questions. Once I just listen to them tell their story all the way through, and then I ask questions about, oh, you could have totally expanded on this. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Or like, that seemed like a extraneous piece of your story, and it was 15 minutes long, and we have stuff to cut. Can we get rid of that? Do you feel comfortable with that? It doesn't really forward your narrative. You know, those kinds of things. And I'm only requiring them to work with me on one phone call. Often they'll ask for more, and I'll give them as much as they want.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like they need more, and
Sure.
so I'll ask them to work with me more than just once. And then we have a group workshop where it's peer feedback, basically.
Oh, that's great.
And often the people are coming into the room as strangers.
Yeah.
And they leave as best friends.
Yeah.
You know?
That cohort effect has to be beautiful.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I had one instance where the storytellers decided without me that they wanted to get together, just them, to do a dry run.
Interesting.
And just be like, we don't need Mark. We want to support each other. And you're like, I have got more questions, but we're running out of time. You know, it's like 4.5 hours in a room together.
Yeah.
And it's at the end of that, we're all tired. And we got through it, and they're like, okay, I want to do this again. We don't need you, Mark. I've got a place. Can everybody be there on Saturday afternoon at 4? And it's like,
off you go.
Thank you.
That's like a proud parent moment, right?
It's pretty cool.
You've launched your flock. Yeah. So you've taken this on the road on a couple of occasions.
We've been to Butte a couple times.
Yeah.
We haven't been back to Helena since COVID.
Okay.
But the last time we were in Helena, 2019, we sold out the Myrna-Loy.
Yeah. So do you have aspirations to do more throughout the state, to reach other parts of the state?
Yes. I would like to go back to Helena on a regular basis. I would like to be back in Butte on a regular basis, like at least once a year in both of those towns.
Yeah.
We're going to be in Whitefish in the fall.
Excellent.
I haven't booked that yet.
Yeah.
Parkside Credit Union is a partner of ours this year.
Very good.
And they've got tendrils in Whitefish, and I have a storyteller from January 2026 who lives in Columbia Falls and loves she had a great experience, and she's like, I will help you.
Oh, excellent.
I will help you bring this to Whitefish.
Yeah.
And that's a market I don't have any context for, you know.
But there's stories up there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
So what are your hopes and dreams? I mean, we're celebrating 15 years. That's a tremendous accomplishment. You framed it as like you're sort of bumbling your way through it, but Mark, you've established something that's a bit of a community institution that I think you should be really proud of.
I am really proud of it.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And you're right about the community piece. You know, I'm not doing this by myself.
Mm-hmm.
People are showing up to the shows. My wife, Joyce Gibbs, Joyce of Tile. Sometimes she's paying the rent, you know, the mortgage, and paying all the bills because Tell Us Something can't pay me on time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have got a huge support network that's helping the board members do a lot of heavy lifting. We're building up our volunteer base.
Right.
To answer the question, I think the question was, you know, where do you want to go?
Yeah. What are your hopes and dreams for Tell Us Something?
I would like to, right now, you know, people are like, you only do 3 events a year.
Okay.
Right now in Missoula, that's true. We do 3. We used to do 4. We had to move away from Logjam Presents for a variety of reasons. No hard feelings, just business. And so in December, when we used to have a show, the Nutcracker is playing at the Denison.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why we dropped to 3 here. What I would like to see is 4 shows in Missoula every year. 4 shows in Butte every year.
Yeah.
4 shows in Helena. You know, same thing in Whitefish. Move to Billings. Move to Bozeman. And obviously that requires additional staff. I can't do all that. But I have the systems, and I can show someone how to do it.
Yeah.
And so, can I trust you enough to do it? Can I trust you enough not to riff off of each storyteller? Because that's part of it too.
Hmm.
I've been to Moth events and the MC is making jokes about what just happened and undercutting the storytellers really is what's
Yeah,
happening.
that is a particular skill, and I think you do it beautifully. As the MC, you form a bridge from one story to another. You sort of keep the room together.
Well,
But
and I do it by not having any of it be about me. If I
exactly,
can,
yeah.
I try not to make any sort of commentary. I just say, thank you to the previous storyteller. Our next storyteller is this person, and
Hmm.
I make the introduction and I read everything. I am the only person on stage with notes. I do that on purpose so that when people see me take my note cards out, they know I have a job to do.
Yeah.
And I dress the same way every time. It's like putting on a uniform. And I fall into this persona that I'm here to provide a service. And I also think about, I don't know if you've ever seen Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
Yeah. Not live, but I've
Live.
not had the privilege to see them live.
And the shirt that I wear is modeled after that. The
Okay.
tie, the vest,
Yep.
all of that's what he wears on tour because what he's doing, he is like, it's like a Baptist revival almost,
Yeah.
this community that's built through the power of storytelling, through the power of rock and roll, through the power of community. I mean, the band that he's built over the past 40, 50 years is powerful. It's like the Wu-Tang Clan, they're there for each other, but they're there for the community.
Hmm.
And I'm channeling that energy
Yeah.
when I'm up on the stage.
So let's pull the lens back a little bit on that word community. You've been in Missoula a long time.
Mm.
Tell Us Something is now, as we framed it, a community institution. Talk about Montana. Talk about Missoula. What is this place about? Why is it special to you? Why do you think this event is able to thrive in a place like this?
We're all hungry for community, but really I think what we're hungry for is to be seen. Tell Us Something gives us that opportunity.
Hmm.
The storyteller is being seen in ways that they have never had that space for, but they're also holding up a mirror to the listener.
Yeah.
We see ourselves from the audience up on that stage. We're making those connections. That's why we're crying in that dark room together in a room full of strangers that aren't strangers. We're community.
Right.
That's why we're laughing together. We are celebrating each other. And Missoula is a community of business people and ranchers and factory workers and artists and writers and filmmakers, and we're all represented up there. I want to continue to try to expand the audience, the people who come and also the people who share stories, to be as inclusive as I can.
Yeah.
Logjam presents, I think the Wilma is the best venue in town.
Yeah.
They also are not ADA accessible for performers.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That creates a challenge.
And the Denison is.
Yeah.
And sometimes we only have one deaf individual in the audience, and I make sure to have American Sign Language interpreters there every time, regardless if he comes or not, because visibility is important and is inclusive. We've had up to, I think, 15 deaf people once, and once we had a deaf person tell a story.
Oh, amazing.
She, I got to turn this off. I don't know if the mic's picking it up, but.
Oh, your phone was?
Yeah.
Okay. Just reset it with one time we had a deaf storyteller.
We try to be as inclusive as we can be, and we had a deaf storyteller share a story. She was speaking in American Sign Language on the stage.
Okay.
And the interpreter was in the audience with a wireless mic voicing her story for the hearing audience.
Oh, amazing.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anna Hasland is her name. You can listen to it if you're a hearing individual.
Yeah.
You can listen to it at the Tell Us Something website or wherever you get your podcast, but tellussomething.org. Or you can watch it on our YouTube channel. And Anna actually went on to become Miss Montana.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Experiences like that I think that's the work of changing hearts and minds and opening up people to new experiences. It's so much more powerful, and I don't want to derail the conversation necessarily with this, but creating a vessel like that is so much more powerful than telling people what words they need to use to refer to people or whatever vocabulary lesson. That feels like school marmy HR policy, whereas what you're doing, no, let's shine a light on a human being. And when you do that, you can illuminate the courage it takes for that particular human being to tell their story.
Yeah. And not all the stories are big, heavy stories.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're hilarious. Jeff Ducklow, great example. He was an adventure guide in Hawaii. He gets lost in Kauai and has to be airlifted out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's great.
And he told it as a comedy.
Yeah.
He went and touched a glacier in a kayak. That was another. He's done a couple of them.
Wow.
And his delivery is just spot on. His timing is incredible. And every time he pitches, I'm like, you just did it last time.
Yeah. But guides are good at telling stories.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need that mix in the composition.
Mm-hmm.
Any moments where you thought, okay, I might have to pull out the hook here, or this one's gonna be trouble, or we've got a problem to manage? Any horror stories or near misses or things like that you want to share?
There are two that I can think of.
Yeah.
One is a little more serious.
You can share whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean,
the guy was sharing a story about being wrongfully accused of molesting his daughter.
Oh.
And I was like, man, this is a really delicate topic and a really important story. Can you be graceful and dignified about the people who accuse you? Because, see something, say something.
Yeah.
They were right to be suspicious. And thankfully, you were innocent of anything. Your daughter didn't have any issues. Can you pull this off? Because it totally derailed his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
He couldn't do it. He was super angry on the stage. And that's one of the stories that didn't it's not on the podcast.
Yeah, it didn't translate.
No. And I talked to people in the community in the days after the show, and they were pissed at me. And I was like, once somebody's up there, I have to trust them.
Yeah.
If anybody ever started dropping racist language, I would just cut the mic.
Of course.
Thankfully, that's never happened. The one time I did pull someone off the stage, he wanted me to because he was lost. And this was before we were doing workshops.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Rick Parnell, who he's another person who has passed on. Rick was the drummer for Spinal Tap.
Oh, my gosh.
He lived here. He had a show on the trail called Spontaneous Combustion.
Yeah.
If you watch the Spinal Tap, you get the joke.
Mm-hmm.
And he played with the Yardbirds. I mean, he's a great musician.
Mega talent.
And has been all over the world. And I thought, this guy's got great stories. He had nothing. He had a whole bunch of unrelated anecdotes. And he couldn't figure out how to stop talking. And everyone's looking at me like, when are you going to...
Yeah, you got to rescue the audience. You got to rescue him.
And I'd never experienced that. I don't have that kind of training.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what to do. This is in 2015, maybe 14. And he told a story about an anecdote about getting fired from a job. And I was like, that's
your
it.
opening.
That's my opening. And I rushed up to the stage and I said, Rick, and he goes, what? And he shoved the microphone at me. I said, you're fired. And he goes, thank God. And he ran off the stage. So what's interesting about that is the next storyteller, Brian Marsh, is telling a story about going to a third world country and helping people who needed it there. And his story wasn't funny. Joyce comes up to me and says, hey, Rick wants a cigarette. And I was like, you should give him one. She's like, no, but he's British and he smokes Winston's. I'm like, well, what happened to his cigarettes? Well, he left them on the stage, Mark.
Oh, geez.
This was back at the Top Hat when we were doing it there.
Yeah.
I said, he can wait. She said, he is freaking out. So I went into the green room and I looked and I saw them and I crawled onto the stage and I grabbed the cigarettes and I the audience is laughing. The story that's being told isn't funny. The guy doesn't know that I'm back there.
Oh
and
my
so I
gosh.
hold up the cigarettes and shake them so people know what's happening. And
Yep.
it's like, oh my gosh. So those are the only two
That's the magic of
that I've
live
had
content.
to pull off
Yeah.
the stage.
Yeah.
And we've only had 2 hecklers, thinking about tough moments. The first one was in the Top Hat days, and it was an individual who had a problem with a storyteller from like the 70s.
Like a personal axe.
A personal axe to grind from way back in the early days of
Oh,
Missoula.
man.
And I knew her, and I walked up to her and I was like, hey, if you're going to keep that up, you got to get out. The storyteller didn't hear it. The audience didn't hear it.
Okay, that's good.
She was like, he's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's not what we're here to do. You can get out if you're going to keep doing that. And she pulled it together.
Yeah.
The other person had been pre-gaming, was pretty lit up. And the storyteller was sharing a story about escaping the modeling industry. Super vulnerable story.
Yep.
And the heckler was so drunk and yelled, "You're so effing privileged." And the whole room heard it. It was at the Wilma. And I heard something happening from backstage. This is when we used to have the curtains closed. I didn't hear what happened. She finished her story and she came backstage after she was finished and was sobbing.
Yeah, I bet.
And I said, "What happened?" She goes, "It's okay." And I was like, "No, it's not. What happened?" And she said, "I got heckled." And I went out there and I was like, "Look." And I was trying not to, I was like shaking. I was so angry. I was like, we're not here to speak. We're here to listen. And whatever was just said was non-consensual. And in my imagination, the bartender jumped over the bar and grabbed her and like threw her out.
Yeah.
The bartender was Frankie. Great guy. And I wasn't that far off. What I found out later was that the people around the individual pointed her out and he was able to escort her out.
Yeah.
I know we're at time, so if this doesn't make it in, I don't care. But I saw her later.
The heckler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was with an acquaintance of mine on the street. And I said, "Hey, were you at the show on Friday?" Or, whatever day it was Tuesday. "Were you at the show last week?" "Yeah." "Did you heckle someone?" And she got indignant with me and was like, "Oh, yeah, I did. And I'm not sorry."
Wow.
And so I talked to her friend later, my acquaintance, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, she's got other issues going on. This is nothing related to you or the show or the storyteller."
Yeah, don't bring that in the room.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we've only had 2 hecklers in 15 years,
it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to the guardrails, the culture, and the community that you're doing this in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this next event, June 16th. The Power of Place is the theme. Where is it happening? How can folks get tickets?
How can folks pitch a story?
Yeah, well, I think by
stuff.
the time this airs, we'll be through that.
Yeah. People can buy tickets at tellussomething.org.
Okay.
And just click on events, tickets.
Very good.
People are like, "Why are you selling tickets at Bonner Park?" Well, we can really only guarantee sound for a certain amount of people because it's in a residential neighborhood and we can't crank up the volume very loud. And so if you want to experience a Tell Us Something event, we have stanchions and seating and
all the rigging and all of that.
all
And
that
where
stuff.
can folks find the podcast and how soon after an event does it appear?
Ideally, it appears 2 to 3 weeks after the
Okay.
event, but I'm so far backlogged. The January event is still being QA'd. I have to fix a bunch of things on my voiceover, and but it's almost assembled. It's
Uh-huh.
almost ready to go. To answer the question, people can listen to the podcast wherever they get their podcasts, their
All right.
favorite podcasting platform. They can stream it at tellussomething.org. They can watch it on YouTube.
Very good.
Yep.
Mark, our last question is, tell us about the last time you changed your mind.
I had a really hard conversation this week, and I knew it was going to be a hard one. And my therapist even asked, like, what's your plan to take care of yourself afterwards? And, my go-to thing is driving with real loud music. 9 Inch Nails has been in the tape deck a
Okay,
lot
so sort of a rage mix.
recently, yeah. And that was my plan. I was just going to get on I-90 and drive. And instead, I drove up Patty Canyon and across the Deer Creek Dirt Road down into East Missoula, listening to the KLF's classic Chill Out album. It's now, I think they re-released it. It's called Calm Down Dawn.
Yeah.
And it's this very calming, relaxing music. That's the concept. It's a concept album of like, what is it like in the morning coming down from all of the ecstasy and all of the drugs that happen at a rave. And it's like riding the train home and, all of that, drinking water, all of that stuff. I would imagine that happens after a rave. And it's relaxing.
Yeah, seems like a better choice for the circumstance.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the time I got home around 9:30, I was a lot more chill, and I could just exhale, have a cup of tea, write my gratitudes,
Yeah.
go to bed.
Well, Mark, you seem to have a remarkable capacity to care for yourself and for the community. You give so much to us. Thank you for 15 years of Tell Us Something. I hope we get 15 more and we can talk about it at more intervals along the way. Thanks for coming in today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Justin.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to A New Angle. If you like what we do and want to support us directly, please consider a subscription at anewanglepodcast.com. A New Angle is recorded at Studio 49, a generous gift from UM alums Michelle and Lauren Hansen. Our presenting sponsor is the Headwaters Foundation, working side by side with Western Montanans to improve the health of our communities. We are also supported by First Security Bank and the University of Montana College of Business, with additional help from CED, Drum Coffee, and Montana Public Radio. Keely Larson is our producer. Libby Riddle is our production assistant. And finally, John Brownell, Jeff Ament, and John Wicks made our music. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.